From inheritance law, we have section 115. Plaintiff asserts her right to reside in the family home. Brother's eviction suit contradicts this section. According to real estate laws, ownership and possession support the plaintiff's defense against eviction. She has lived there 20 years after the mother built a separate flat for her. Penalty law, section 239. Brothers contradicted to the testimony and hid their trust assets. That amounts to perjury. Assets, documents. Penalty law, section 431. Exploitation of a vulnerable paralyzed mother to sign legal documents where they initiated the selling of a house. Penalty law, section 300 and section 301. Murder, negligence, aggravated murder, alleged linking the mother's death to concealment of financial crimes. They let her fall from the stairs, tried to opiate her, and prevented prevented any caregiver for many months for her after a hip replacement. Penalty law, section 486 and 488. Strict liability for theft of estate assets and unlawful preventing rental income from the mom in 2021 already. So they have this will, which I didn't know about, where they will run a trust on me, and according to in a penalty in a felony act, they started liquidating assets and also, taking over flat in Elat, which for 20 years was an income for the mother. Penalty law, so this is strict liability. Even if they didn't have intention to steal, already the mishandlement of assets at that time is already a strict liability, is already a felony. Also afterwards, what they just submitted to court, which is a Swiss cheese full of holes, which they called a trust, which they didn't, first of all, they said to the court that they won't do it, and the judge said that it was a mistake, but although they did, they did a perjury and tried to make a bank account where you had, they have access, which is not a legal thing, and it's perjury. Penalty law 245. The brothers knowingly engaged in fraudulent acts. Elder brother alleged violent and psychopathic history. This is an awareness. And we're going into what they did to the mother, which is guardianship law. Guardianship law, section 32, 32A till 32T, and section 47. Misuse of enduring power of attorney and breach of duty, care or loyalty. She said she evicted her from her house. They tried to evict her from her house, and they waited for when she was completely paralyzed. May it be from ALS or it might be from opiates that the elder prescribed on her, to sign her on a document like that, which is against the guardianship law. It's a misuse, and they said they want to sell the house for their own interest. Also in this case, which they presented to the judge, they said that they are needy families, which is also a perjury because they live oligarch life in a level of oligarchs. Expenditure all over, trips abroad, and 2 vehicles each family, and not needy family, although they said to the judge they're needy family. Okay, breach of duty law, trust law. Trustees must act with loyalty, diligence, and good faith. Diligence, good faith. Brothers breach all of this, hiding the assets and misusing funds. Also, they were violent, which is not, innocence of heart. Before the case started, and also now for some reason they're trying to do the same. More stuff is money laundering law, section 3, cash reduction law, section 4, claims that they concealed bank operations, illegal cash withdrawals, and transaction splitting. Additional doctrines is strict liability, Victim Compensation Act, and core claims brothers committed perjury, fraud, theft, negligence that they contribute to the mother's death, exploitation, attempted eviction, violating multiple laws while abusing trust and guardianships law. The background. First, the two brothers and the lawyers have 2 criminal cases that were opened for them by the police at 2024. In the court case regarding the trust from inheritance, the judge herself, Honorable Judge Shirley Shai, claimed that the need of a trust is a mistake. The brothers in the court agreed to enable the defendant to control her estate assets, but despite that, they acted in perjury and tried in 2025 to create a bank account on her name where they have access while concealing assets. On this background, they claimed it is a trust and sued her for eviction from her home, which she lives 20 years, and contradictions of section 115 of the inheritance law, which is right to reside. The act is against the promise, is a felony of perjury according to paragraph 239 in the penalty law. Moreover, in the legal process, they exposed another perjury that occurred in the court. They exposed it in the court. In case 25135, for the first time, they claimed that the deceased created an ongoing power of attorney to enable them to sell her house. This was the reason the defendant ran out of the courtroom after the judge screamed in shock. The perjury, the Honorable Judge, the perjury is that at the time of the power of attorney was created, the deceased was in full ALS, full motor dystrophy, and mute for 6 months. So she couldn't initiate it unless you communicating in telepathy. This document and act by them is a felony under Chapter 11, theft, robbery, of the penalty law, and also is a felony according to paragraph 431 of the same law, extortion. An oppressor who ever exploited distress, physical or mental weakness, inexperience or favorably of another for one of the following is liable to imprisonment for 3 years. Regarding the eviction claim, this is the case of the eviction claim, the paragraphs in the law which defend the defendant right on the real estate are in the real estate law, section 14, right of ownership, section 15, protection of possession and use, and the inheritance law, section 115, the right to reside. A resident heir has the right to remain in the deceased home. Lived there for 20 years by the wish of the parents. We're going into penalty law, section 300 murder, section 301 aggravated murder, section 21 negligence, section 300 murder, definition, causing the death of a person intentionally or with indifference. Negligence, definition, according to the penalty law, lack of awareness of risk or consequences resulting in harm. They claim the brothers showed gross negligence caring for the mum. They were liquidating assets at the time. They tried to opiate her at Ichilov, forcibly opiate her. I'll go over it later on. Didn't get, after a hip replacement, didn't want to get her caregiver. She's an automatic thing. They prevented that thing, which they put her in risk to fall from the stairs. I think she actually fell. She also fell in the pool of their old age home. She said that they expelled her from her home when she went there to the elderly home for a trial time, and then they came in a week time and they said, we don't have money. We need the money. We need to sell your house. She said they expelled her from the home. They already started. Because when I made the negotiation, when they exposed that will, I made a negotiation, and it was the lawyer suddenly was involved in it, already in her death. It was after her death, just a couple of days after her death. He said that there's a buyer and everything is organized. So they were doing that and medically negligent.